Good afternoon. This is Margot with Outreach Court. We're going to wait just a minute or two for people to be able to jump on, and then we'll get started with what I think is going to be a great program this afternoon. Hey, Maxine.
Yes.
Let's see. Can I get you to put that in a little smaller mode just until I get through my intro, because I have that up and for some reason I can't seem to look at my notes and this at the same time.
Sure. Yeah. I know some folks, they go into like full screen when they share.
But all right, folks. Well, we're going to get started. Again, it's my pleasure. I'm Margot Keener with Outreach Court, which is a program of the Bernalillo County Metropolitan Court. And it's a program, Outreach Court is a program for individuals who are homeless or precariously housed, to give them some alternative options for resolving misdemeanors and traffic tickets, and doing that through work with agencies and services in the community. So today's webinar is entitled Foundations of Peer Support, How to Best Leverage the Expertise of Peer Support Workers. As you know, the use of peer support workers and counselors has taken off across the country. This afternoon, we're carving out some time to drill down and talk about the factors required to move from representation to inclusion of people with lived experience. Before we begin, just a couple housekeeping notes. Because of the numbers today, we're going to limit questions to the question and answer box. So please feel free at any time to put your questions in there. And I think there's a mechanism to, if you like someone else's question a lot, you can put your support like it, and we'll try and push that one near the top. And if there's anything that our panelists we're not able to address in the time allotted today, and or questions that we don't quite have the answers to today, we will get back to you with some follow-up information. So, all right. So what better organization to focus on today for the issue of working with peer support workers than the Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. As most of you know, it is a 100% peer-run nonprofit organization which offers group and one-on-one peer support services for underserved and never served individuals seeking and or maintaining sobriety, recovery, and wellness. ACHR is the longest running peer recovery program in the Albuquerque metro area and is known for providing high quality, innovative, robust, and sustainable peer-driven services for those who are in great need. We have three remarkable women with us today from the center. The first is the Executive Director, Maxine Henry. Much of her career has been dedicated to developing, improving, and providing peer-run services to those living with co-concurring mental health and substance use disorders, focusing on community-defined needs and solutions. Maxine earned her master's in social work with a concentration in government, nonprofit leadership, and her master's in business administration. She has been committed to improving access to and decreasing disparities in behavioral health services, especially for the BIPOC communities. Maxine's most recent work with the National Latino Behavioral Health Association focused on the delivery of culturally and linguistically competent services to communities across the country. In addition to her role as the project director for both the National Hispanic and Latino Addiction and Prevention Technology Transfer Centers, she created access to tailored training and technical assistance to Latino-led and Latino-serving providers, individuals, and communities. She has a particular interest and emphasis on workforce development, and is integrated into and integrates with that the class standards, which are intended to eliminate healthcare disparities. This has led to numerous invitations to speak at national conferences and presentations across the behavioral health spectrum and development of other projects. She currently resides with her family in the Denver metro area. Thank you for joining us today, Maxine. Our next guest is Joanne Betty. Raise your hand, Joanne. There you go. Joanne is originally from Texas, and though she considers herself a New Mexican, as she was raised and lived most of her life in the land of enchantment. After 10 years of living in Africa, she's excited to be back in Albuquerque. As a woman who knows firsthand the negative impacts of chronic depression, anxiety, and other disparities, she has made it her life's work to support others in their unique needs as they traverse the challenges and difficulties through hard work and the support and care of her family and friends, and her ever-increasing self-agency. I just love that word. She has maintained recovery and well-briety for the last 3 years. Her professional expertise includes working in many capacities in the medical field, including supporting physicians and assisting community members with procuring public benefits and other supportive services. She has also worked in childhood education and community development. Joanne's skill set and her ability to meet people where they are at has led to her current role as a certified peer case manager at the Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery. Joanne is lending her leadership skills to the development and sustainability of the Senior Peer Case Management Program funded by the Bernalillo County Behavioral Health Initiative. And last but far from least is another young person, Antoinette Gonzalez. Antoinette has struggled with mental health challenges that she did not know how to describe or speak about. Traumatic experiences led to fear and her mistrust of others, which further impacted any substantial support system she might have had. In her teenage years, drinking was a reprieve from her pain and fear that had become uncontrollable. At 28 years old, an arrest for driving while intoxicated became the catalyst for her journey to recovery. A diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic depression, and a mood disorder provided an explanation for her struggles. As a single mother, Antoinette began the hard work of investing in her recovery. Today, Antoinette works at ACHR as a certified peer support worker, supporting others who are experiencing mental health and/or co-occurring substance use challenges. Her goal is to help individuals sustain recovery, restore their families, and heal so they too can live a high-quality life. Through sharing her recovery journey, a commitment to therapy, and a courageous transparency about the impact her challenges have had on her and her children, Antoinette proves that recovery is possible. Antoinette continues to build a strong future for her and her children as she gives to her clients. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to the three of you.
Thank you for that beautiful and warm welcome. Thank you, Joanne and Antoinette. I am so honored to share space with you today, and proud to call both of you a colleague of mine. So I'm going to ask you all to bear with me for one moment. I share my screen a little bit differently than my other people might do so. All right, so here we go. I won't belabor our title screen, but as you can see here, our goal was to really talk about the foundations of peer support. Some of you all might consider yourselves peers yourselves. You might be peer support workers, whether certified or not. And some of you might not have, really any real context or have had a lot of experience working with or knowing folks who consider themselves peers. And so our goal was really, when I met with Margot, was to talk about how we can really best leverage the specific and nuanced expertise that peer support workers bring to the table. And Miss Joanne and Miss Antoinette were so nice and gracious to say that they would present here with me and Margot today. So I won't be with you long as I pass it on to my colleagues here, but we really wanted to use storytelling. So you'll notice that this slide deck is not very long and it doesn't have a lot of words on it, not because this team is not amazing at what we do, but because we feel like much of what peer support is and much of what our culture has really instilled in us is this issue of storytelling and this ability to really connect with people on a different level. And we know that in a webinar, we can't necessarily do a lot of dialogue, but we hope that through this presentation, we open up opportunity for you all to reach out and dialogue with us, and you'll have our contact information at the end. But what we really want to do, as I mentioned before, is we want to walk you kind of through how peers have both specific and nuanced sets of expertise and how we really employ those in order to support community members that are seeking to enter recovery and or to sustain it. We also want to talk about the different pathways to recovery, to well-briety. I prefer well-briety, but I know that when we spoke, Margot and I, we talked about how for now, this community is really, learning more and more about individuals in recovery and the work that we do. And so that's why we use that term. But you will hear us say well-briety more often than not. And then lastly, we want to talk a little bit about how we can actually leverage these skills. When I spoke to Margot when we were planning this, I said, representation is such an important thing. I want to see myself in my community, in my workplace, on TV, in the media, in positive ways. So representation is really important, but we really want to move from representation into inclusion. And so how can we do that in a way that we can meaningfully integrate peer support workers? And so I love this little icon, right? So we're not integrating like a Venn diagram, which typically in professional worlds we want to talk about, but it's this actual zipper of like bringing these two worlds together. And how can we be the cultural brokers to allow that to happen? You all from your clinics, from your courts, from your organizations, from your agencies, and then folks like us from community-based organizations that are peer run. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Antoinette, and I will be back with you all later. Antoinette?
Thank you so much, Maxine. So right now, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what our center does. So the mission for Albuquerque Center for Hope and Recovery is to support people who do live with mental health and substance use challenges. Through our peer support and a safe environment, we aim to help people experience positive life through growth and focusing on hope, humor, and personal responsibility. Let's see. What do we provide? We provide for individuals so what we provide for individuals is going to be our drop-in center. So our drop-in center is going to be 100% peer run, which means that you don't need any appointment to come and see us. Our drop-in center is a non-clinical environment for people, again, that are struggling with mental health or substance misuse. We strive to provide a stigma-free environment to promote acceptance and recovery. We also provide wellness recovery plans. So with our wellness recovery plans, they're going to be something that is going to be personalized to each person individually. We're going to be, that would entail intentional goal setting for the person, keeping them accountable, so accountability, and learning some healthy habits. Now, we also offer our groups, and for our groups, we do like to incorporate some of the Samsung's dimensions of wellness, which would be some of that emotional, social, occupational, and spiritual parts. We have our groups that we offer are going to be, we have choice recovery, we have anger management, we have one that's art and soul, which is really fun. A lot of people like that one. And we also, we give our members the option to let us know what they want as far as groups go. So we do have a very diverse options for our groups. We also have a consistent schedule. So can I see our schedule? So Monday through Friday on our board and on our website, anybody can go on there and see, like Mondays from 9 to 10, we do an orientation. And then we have classes, like I said, for anger management, choice recovery, mindful minutes, which is something new that we just started, which is really cool. But people do know that it's consistent. So if they're coming in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they know that these groups are going to be there and they are consistent. We also offer our programs that we offer. Our A2A program is actually our Addict to Athlete program. This one is very beneficial. I think a lot of people get a lot of, what would you say, like a lot of inspiration out of. I think when you get a chance to work out, you're releasing endorphins. So if you've had a substance use, misuse problem, it's very beneficial to release that feel-good hormone. And they also get to do a meeting afterwards. So I know our A2A is one of our top popular ones that we do. We also have the VSA, which is our valued added services. And then the Metro Court, which is what we're here for today. And then let's see, our pathways, and then our ticket to work. So our pathways program, that's through UNM Pathways, and that's through Bernalillo County. And it's designed to reduce the unmet needs. The unmet needs addresses health inequities and improves the overall health of the residents of Bernalillo County. We also have, let me see, the PDI, which is our peer drop-in. We have the SPCM, which is our senior peer case management, which Joanne here is actually one of our senior case managers. Do you want to say something a little bit about what you do?
Well, with the senior peer case management, we do tailor more to our seniors. We do offer stuff for seniors that are our members that are 55 and over, but we do try to specialize in our seniors that are 65 and over. We definitely try to help them if they need to get any type of food security, if they're needing to apply for benefits such as Social Security or disability. Just, come on in and we can talk more. If they need that help, we definitely can assist them if they come in with that.
Thank you. And then we have our living room model, and then the one that I'm in right now currently is going to be our Gateway program. So our Gateway program is actually specialized in our peer support and helping individuals get the necessary documentations they need for housing. We also do one-on-one sessions, and we provide services depending on the needs of our members. Let's see. So we're basically there to help guide and help assist them with navigating through applications with housing. I go 3 times a week to the West Side Shelter, and out there, again, we're helping provide peer support services. So recently, I'll go out there, and sometimes you have people that just want to talk, they're going through a hard time. They don't necessarily just want one thing. They just kind of want somebody to listen and somebody who's going to empathize with them, and understand what they're going through, because it is hard. It's a very hard thing to go through, being homeless or going through struggles.
So what do we do? Here we like to engage. We engage with our members, of course, at initial contact. We listen carefully to what is being communicated. We like to ask the open-ended questions. We definitely want to give affirmation to them. We like to reflect on what is being said. We also summarize so that we all can understand and ensure a shared understanding to that. So that's how we engage with our peers or with our members. Support. We give support. Is giving value to our members, you know, members, their experiences, how they're feeling. We like to provide resources to what they might need in that particular moment. And that could be anything. That could be if they need to apply to get a state ID, even if they need help with like trying to apply for state benefits, food stamps and Medicaid. So that's how we try to support them in that way. We encourage our members as well. And we encourage our members by tell them to try to keep moving forward, you know, help them keep moving forward, especially with their sobriety. We like to celebrate their efforts and accomplishments for whatever time that might be. We just like to let them know that, you know, we like them to keep moving forward with that. And then the walk, you know, for me, the walk is having that lived experience, you know, showing our members that someone has been where they're at in that moment in time, and that we've been through what they're going through, and that there is, of course, room to grow and there's hope in that walk. We just like to let them know that, you know, if they need that place to come in, to have that little bit of a push, because sometimes we need that push, you know, to keep moving forward. You know, that's definitely what we're here for, is to do that with them. We offer education as well. You know, we like to, we offer, of course, the groups that Antoinette explained for our members that are in recovery. We give also resources for other places that might help them with any type of education they might need. If that is them wanting to maybe go back and get their high school diploma or get a GED, or just learning computers, you know, sometimes that is a thing. We get a lot of people these days who are returning citizens and they don't know how to add an attachment to an email or even get an email. And so we try to, we show them how to do this stuff, you know, so that, and we let them do it because we really advocate for self-advocacy as well, you know. I mean, we can teach you the one time, but will you remember if we do it for you? So we like for them to come in and we sit them down and we show them the steps on how to be able to get to these steps that they're going to, if they're applying for anything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this file outside your door. I found it in the corner. Perfect. Thank you. You're welcome.
You're fine. It's what happens when you're in a peer drop-in center. That's like the best example.
There you go.
And so the link, I mean, we're the link for our members, you know, we help them get through stressful times that they might have. We get a lot of people who come in looking for, you know, their mail because their benefits card is in the mail. And so with that link, they don't have a place to actually, you know, receive a mail because they don't have a permanent address. So we're the link for them to be able to get to the resources that they need. And so our members are able to receive their mail at our drop-in center. And for a lot of people, they're so grateful and appreciative for that, because without that, they don't know where they would get, let's say, their benefits card, you know, and that's an important thing. And it's just a place where we offer our peers, you know, a safe place to be, even if they want to come in just to get the cup of coffee and just to give a little chat. And we get a lot of people who come in and just tell us how their day is going. You know, they like to let us know that they've got that job that we applied for 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know? And it's important for them to know that no matter what it is, big or small, that they do have somewhere to go. And whatever
Yeah.
their story might be, they're able to tell one of us and we're like, oh, you know, I know that happened to us, or someone else just actually came in, dropped off a flyer. And so guess what? If you're looking for a job, this gentleman is hiring, let me get you there, let me get you their number. So that's what we do. We link them up with other resources. If we can't provide everything, we give that to them. You know, we just help them out and we let them know that this is a safe place, free of judgment. So
Yeah, they definitely love to come in and give us updates. I know we've had a few members, like I've had a member that we got out of the West Side homeless shelter and now is currently working, and it's so amazing when we see, you know, that light come on when they're happy to say, hey, you know what, I'm doing better. I got a job. And we thank you for the support, the encouragement, and the dedication that we show by showing up every day, and them knowing like, hey, when we go in there, I'm either going to see Antoinette, Joanne, or one of our other
Yes,
workers. And that's
I'm
something.
on a webinar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies. I will let you all know that there was a question in the Q&A box asking if we could cover what services are included in the Metro Court contract. And so that's a wonderful question, Maria. And to be honest with you, everything that Joanne and Antoinette just described is included in the Metro Court contract. But I would say it's a little bit more reinforced. To be honest with you, Metro Court is the first time in 12 years that I've ever officially agreed to do a grant or a memorandum of understanding where folks had to be referred to us. And I did it because the leadership at Metro Court, when you all were applying for the SAMHSA grant, were so respectful, and they did it, in my opinion, the right way, where they reached out way before they got the funding. They reached out to me when they were going to start applying. And they said, if we did this and we want to bring in, you know, clinical supports, we want to work with POs and with judges and with lawyers and the entire justice system, you know, here at the specialty courts, but we also want to integrate peers, and what would that look like? And I said, well, the fact that you didn't come to us after you got funding and you want us to be the little sticker that you put on a flyer, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. And, you know, we, not in a negative way, but we did wrestle a little bit with the issue of eligibility. And I understood that while we are still a purely drop-in center, I was so honored by the fact that for probably the first time in my history of doing this kind of work, the leadership who were writing this grant completely understood why I had a valid hesitancy to start a referral option or requirement for this program. But I also knew that it made a whole lot of sense for us to do it with Metro Court, because you all have to track in a way that is very different than we do. And the leadership there was so open to understanding that even if someone got referred to us, that we would never be listed as a mandated program. That if for whatever reason a peer who would be referred to a CHR either, you know, felt like it wasn't something that they needed, or that ACHR wasn't the right place, or the person assigned on our end to, you know, be kind of that initial point of contact and potentially the person that they would do peer supports with, that even if they decided not to work with ACHR, that wouldn't turn into punitive measures against that individual. And the leadership at Metro Court were like, no, we totally get it. It'll still be very informed choice, very optional, and then we'll give them different options if ACHR is not the right one for them. So I would say that's really the difference between folks who come to us through Metro Court versus someone. We've had folks who literally are walking down the street in downtown Albuquerque at that little brown house of hope that you all saw a picture of. And we didn't name it the Brown House of Hope. We are much more humble than that. It was actually our members who named it the Brown House of Hope. And then of course, you know, maybe Latina, I'm like, well, can we just say the Brown Casita of Hope? Because that makes me feel a little bit more at home. But if any of you all have not been to 913 downtown, in the middle of downtown on 2nd and Lomas, we're about a block and a half, north of Lomas on 2nd Street, in the middle of downtown. It's a little brown house, and we're self-contained. And the beauty of being self-contained is folks don't have to worry if they're coming in for services. It doesn't say, you know, we don't have this giant neon sign that says, if you're experiencing substance use disorder, come in here, right? Or if you're experiencing a mental illness, walk in here and we'll help you. It's literally a house. And when you walk in there, it feels like a house. It sounds like a house. You're going to have folks, you know, walking around. Sometimes we have members at that front desk being our ambassador, and sometimes it's a staff member, and sometimes it's even the executive director, right? None of us are better than the next person, and we just really trust each other. So if you haven't come by to see the folks, you know, at 913, I highly recommend that you do. And just bear with me, we call the downtown location 913 because we didn't know what else to call it, and I like really short things, you know, acronyms. I'm in behavioral health. And for those of you that don't know, we just opened up the Imagine Wellness in partnership with BHI. And it's in Tijeras. Again, it's a self-contained. It used to at one point be a home. Then it was an art gallery, and then it was a restaurant, and now it's a peer-run organization or location. What I will say is 913 and Living Room Model are locations, but we offer A2A, you know, choice recovery path, anger management, art and soul, movie nights, Metro Court services, volunteer opportunities. Some folks even do their community service with ACHR, and we're more than happy to do that. We offer value-added service. We offer space to all of the MCOs, their care coordinators, to come into ACHR in order to create that linkage, as Joanne mentioned, so that they can do their risk assessments at ACHR, because we're already, you know, connected with them, and so we're their cultural broker. So 913 and the Living Room Model in Tijeras are locations, but you can refer folks, tell them to come and drop in at any of those locations, because we will do any of these services. If somebody only has access to 913 and Joanne happens to be working at Tijeras or the Tiny Home Village or the Reentry Resource Center, and she has internet access, but they want to work with Joanne, we're not going to ask that person to go and find Joanne. We will use one of our computers at 913, and we will call Joanne, and she'll send them a Zoom link, and we will hook them up on the computer right then and there. So please send folks in, you know, even if you're not directly working with or the person referring folks through Metro Court, you can, like I said, just send them in and they can stop in at any time. And then, as Antoinette mentioned, they can decide to just be a member where they drop in whenever it is that they need services, whether it's one-on-one or group, or they have a choice to enter into a wellness recovery plan where they have, as she mentioned, that more intentional goal setting that they want to do side by side with a peer or two, or whoever it is that they choose to work with. Once they're done with their probationary period, are they still able to utilize services? Thank you. Is it Janae? Hopefully I did not mess up your name. Absolutely. The reason why we brought up our issue of wellness recovery plans is we like to reinforce that we aren't clinical services. I absolutely think that clinical services are vital and they're important. But as we honor multiple pathways to well-briety, we want to either be an addition to, alongside, or for some people, you know, they don't have access to clinical services. And so we don't discharge people because we don't create treatment plans. We have had folks who have, in their opinion, successfully met all of their self-prioritized goals in their wellness recovery plan. So what we like to do is more of an exit interview from that recovery wellness plan. And then they can decide, do I want to go into another one? Or do I just want to drop in? Because they know they can always come back in. All of our services are free. So even after they've graduated recovery court, which by the way, our team goes with people to recovery court. We have celebrations after they've graduated. If we can have a graduation ceremony at ACHR and they're willing to come, we are willing to have that happen. So yes, it's not an end all be all. And we have a lot of folks actually from Metro Court who they come and initiate service with us, and then they bring their family member, or they bring an adult child to come and work with us, or they bring their neighbor and they're like, these folks help me, so you need to come too. So it's a beautiful kind of word of mouth situation. No, Brianna, we have 0 requirements for anyone who wants to engage in recovery services at ACHR. You do not have to have any specific type of cleared experience or involvement with the justice system. We actually have folks who work for us who are justice involved. And so for me, I don't feel like we could truly call ourselves a peer-run organization if we added those additional barriers. The only time we really ask folks specifically about any justice involvement is if they are engaging with us in job development. And the only reason why we ask that is not for our purposes, but because we try to work with them and we walk that walk with them, and we educate them on how to disclose this information, how to talk about it, when to talk about it. But we do that the same way that we would do with somebody who has a disability, right? We don't treat them any differently. If they come to us and they tell us this is what we're looking for, we just kind of educate them on the potential barriers. And so we help them find ways to learn how to overcome those barriers before we meet them, because then that tends to be really discouraging. So hopefully that helped as we get into the next piece, because I think that they really align with Joanne and Annette really did. I keep calling Antoinette Annette. I apologize.
It's okay.
Don't ask me why.
You have an Annette here, that's why, so it's okay.
And some of you might know Annette because she is really the person who all of the Metro Court referrals come to, and then she triages for us, and she quote unquote assigns an individual that is being referred via Metro Court. So she must be on my mind today, y'all. You can tell her she's not in trouble, but she must be on our mind. Yes, Janae, we do offer services in Spanish. Martha is 100% bilingual. Joanne actually has a level of proficiency. She's really shy about it, but she is also bilingual. And we just brought on, because of senior peer case management and the living room model, they asked us to bring in some level of clinical supports. And so we just hired a colleague of mine who is a peer in long-term recovery, but also has earned quite a few licenses in the clinical side of our work. And so she will be offering peer-based clinical supports, and she is 100% bilingual and fluent and proficient in both written, spoken, and can read both languages. So please feel free to send folks who are bilingual. I have worked with folks, I don't speak, one time I was there, I don't speak Vietnamese, and you better bet that I figured it out, got online, and we helped this individual find the bus route to his next appointment. And he spoke no English, so we will figure it out. We will find, as Joanne said, we will be the link. If we can't figure it out, we will sit there until we get it done with that member. So as we're talking about all these amazing things that this team does from a day-to-day basis, what folks typically ask me as the ED is, okay, well, that sounds great, and all of your team is wonderful, and we enjoy working with all of them. But if we want to do this work, how do we do this? Because it feels so unattainable. It feels, to me, almost like, when we just kind of slap that patch on there, it's almost like a cultural competency training. Like, well, great, I got a cultural competency training, but what do I do with this information, right? So what I always like to do is really turn what truly are challenges into opportunities for us to do meaningful integration. And so I feel like as long as we do the intentional work of walking in as peer support being woven through, think of it as a thread in a quilt, right? We don't want to add this patch onto the quilt of peer support, because guess who's going to know that? The peers who you're asking to work with you, but more importantly, the community members that you're providing services to. So one of the biggest barriers sometimes is buy-in. Maybe not you individually, the wonderful folks that are in the audience today, but maybe leadership, right? Maybe some clinicians that we work with, maybe some individuals who are POs and like, I just don't really understand this other side of the work. And, why are we going to work with people who maybe have done the same things? What is that going to look like? Maybe it's more about, I don't know how to interact with them because I was trained very differently. So if we're having issues with buy-in at any level, from the bottom up, the top down, I highly recommend that we do very intentional introductions. Even if you're just trying to say, hey, we want to start to integrate peer supports at our agency, we're going to do a field trip to 913 or to Tijeras, and I'm going to reach out to Joanne and I'm going to call her and I'm going to say, hey, when are you going to be at 913? Because we're going to walk around the block and we're going to come see you all, right? Do intentional introductions to peer support workers. If you yourself are a peer, and I know that I can sit here and say this as a privileged community member who works with wonderful peers every single day. I know it's not safe for everyone in their workplace to identify as a peer, but if it is safe for you, intentionally introduce yourself that way. So that way they can understand that we're not paraprofessionals. I can't stand that word. We have a lot of value, right? And so how do we really introduce ourselves in that way? You heard our bios. They're very professional, but it's woven through with our lived experience. Do cross-cultural communication trainings. Cross-cultural communication training is not only for me and Janae, who might have members or clients or patients that speak another language other than English. It's also for the way that we communicate. Joanne and I had a wonderful conversation yesterday. I don't use the word relapse. That is such a blaming, ugly word. When you try to say it in Spanish, it's even more blaming, right? But instead, we use terms at ACHR like return to symptoms or return to use. And so when we use terms like that, instead of saying, oh, I'm working with addicts or I'm working with the homeless population, right? We talk about people experiencing substance misuse or substance use disorder. We do not say things like, oh, this person committed suicide, right? When we're working with somebody who is a survivor of that. People commit crimes. Suicide is not a crime. Suicide is an end to a life. So we use this cross-cultural communication to positively reinforce, oh, do you mean to say that somebody died by suicide? Or somebody took their own life? That feels so different, right? I was talking to a parent at the American Foundation on Suicide Prevention. I rewrote their Talk Saves Lives curriculum, and it's now bilingual, bicultural, English and Spanish for Latino communities across the US. And when I presented on this at their national conference in March, one of the people that I had been working with for a long time told me that the reason why she got into that work is her son died by suicide 20 years ago. And she told me, I remember what it felt like when people would tell me, oh my gosh, your son committed suicide. I can't imagine what that feels like. Versus now, when she has the words to say, no, my son died by suicide, right? She didn't want to hear that about her child, she's already dealing with the loss of her child, much less hearing that he committed some type of crime. Continue training, not just for your peers, but for your leadership, for your clinicians. The ATTC, the Addiction Technology Transfer Network, has a wonderful training. You can actually get it for free. You just have to go to Region 6 ATTC. They're based out of University of Texas, Austin. I'm actually trained in this curriculum. It's a 16-hour training for clinical supervision of peer-based supports. We do a wonderful training on how clinicians can supervise effectively and efficiently and supportively people with lived experience who are working as peer support workers within your agency. And that brings me to role confusion. A lot of times people have no idea what they're doing. As an ED, job descriptions are sent to you when we offer you a job. They're embedded in our job postings. We go over them when you get hired. Whenever we have supervision, we go over your job description. Everyone has full access to their job descriptions and everyone else's job descriptions. And when people come to me and they say, Maxine, we have to remember that this program just ended because that funding ended. We need to update my job description, right? It's really unfair to ask peers to come and work for us and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, because then they don't understand why they're getting in trouble, why people around them are getting frustrated. If y'all are integrating peers and you're working with clinicians, have those clinicians sit with them in supervision. let them ask questions about what this means, right? Their notes are going to look very different than your notes. We don't talk about treatment. We don't talk about hesitancy to care. We don't talk about being non-compliant because we are not mandated services. And use supervision. SAMHSA has a wonderful explanation of well-rounded, it's kind of a tripod. It's a tri-pronged set of skills that we should be embedding in supervision: supportive, administrative, and then also developmental, right? So go learn that and use some of those tools that SAMHSA provides in order to do that. If you're looking for more opportunities to learn about that, SAMHSA funded this last year, they just entered their second year of funding the Peer Recovery Center of Excellence. They're a national focused training and technical assistance center where you can get free T and TA on specific peer support services and how to work with peers. And then lastly, burnout. All of us are tired, y'all. We're all living through a pandemic. We're all living through ridiculous inflation. I'm from Albuquerque, grew up, raised my oldest son till he was 10 in the South Valley. I know that Albuquerque looks very different than it did even 6 years ago when I moved to Denver. All of us are increasingly experiencing burnout and these feelings of being overwhelmed, and it's very valid. So have that well-rounded supervision I was just talking about. Have protective policies and procedures. We don't understand that even with policies and procedures, sometimes we might be working with people in recovery, and sometimes a return to use happens. Sometimes a return to symptoms happens. And so what do we do for that individual? Is there an opportunity for them to take mental health days in the event that they anticipate a return to use or a return to symptoms so that they don't immediately get fired? Do we know clearly if somebody has a return to use? What does that policy and procedure say? What if they're a member or a client of yours? Does that mean they're ineligible? And if they are, is there something that we can do about that? Can we speak to our funders? The way that I spoke to the state when we were entering this MOU for Metro Court, I'll do it and I'll take referrals as long as if somebody changes their mind or they have a return to use or a return to symptoms and they're working with us, that doesn't mean that there'll be punitive action against this person, right? There are ways that we can stick up for folks in our leadership roles. And then have respect for roles, please. Again, I'm not a big fan personally of paraprofessional. What I hear a lot is peers are oftentimes treated as unpaid interns. We have a lot of unpaid interns who are master level social work students. I don't treat them like we see them being treated on TV. They don't get coffee only. They don't just scrub toilets. They don't just staple papers. They all have to propose a group at the end of semester 1, and then they have to implement that group in semester 2 after that proposal has been cleared. Do the same with your peers. I have worked with so many peers who said at this agency, at that agency, I literally had to sit in the back and I had to file paperwork. That's all I was ever able to do. And then we wonder why they don't want to work with us, right? Pay them a living wage. I think the lowest paid individual at ACHR makes $18 an hour. And we're constantly striving to help them make more and more money because all of us live in the same city. All of us live with the same cost of living expectations, right? And then professional development. Invest in your people. Constant professional development. Give them time to come to webinars like this. Give them time to go to the BHI summit that is happening today. Letting them go to Civic Plaza to go to, the recovery fair that's going to go on tomorrow. Oh, by the way, happy Recovery Month, y'all. There's only 2 days left, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. We have about a half a month left for that. So if you all have any other additional questions about how to do this and you want some more tips, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to sit with you. Anything that I learned the hard way, I'm more than happy to help you avoid those landmines and to really do this meaningful integration. It means a lot to us to be able to know that our peers in this community are highly valued because Joanne and Antoinette know things that a textbook can never teach them, right? And so how do we value that expertise that they have, that a textbook would never be able to tell them about what it felt like when they went through this, or what it looked like or smelled like when they went through that, or, this other thing. So thank you for that piece. I'm going to hand it over to Antoinette.
Okay, so for our impacts and outcomes, I could sit here and tell you guys, my story. But we have a video for you guys that'll have, these are some members that have gone through our programs, some of our programs, and we went ahead and did a video with them to share with you so that you can actually see their impact, the impact that we had on them, and the outcomes that they're seeing. So we hope you like the video.
Enjoy.
Just give me a thumbs up, y'all, if you can hear it, okay?
Okay.
Y'all could have told me it was at the end. It's okay. Things happen. I was wondering why it was credits.
First up, we got 4 rounds. We're gonna do 100 jump ropes, 12 London bridges, and 25 steam engines. It gets tough.
Yeah.
The Addict Athlete Program, what it is a hour of strenuous workout, whether it's CrossFit, circuit training, weightlifting, followed by an hour of supportive aftercare. You know, we assist individuals who are struggling within these areas, to be able to find something new, to find something that works for us. We're building a foundation, something different for our recovery. With one brick, it's just a brick. With others behind me, these are graduates in this program, we're building a foundation for a better lifestyle.
So again, what does recovery mean to you?
Recovery to me is being able to withstand the hardships and push through certain obstacles in life without having some outer influential substance control me or dictate how I feel, or be the stepping stone into feeling what I'm supposed to feel, that raw emotion, that honesty with myself.
Recovery to me means a new life, a new chance at growth. It means clean slate. It means you can recover from anything actually, if you just put your mind to it. really be truthful to yourself. You're the person that it can take to be a good person. You have to start with yourself. Self-care, self-love. Be kind. Always be kind.
ACHR, the biggest role that they played in my recovery was allowing a platform for me to actually come to people and experience the feeling of not having an answer and understanding that there's never going to always be the answer, but there are people here at ACHR that care wholeheartedly about what it is that we are supposed to do in our recovery and how we are supposed to be, you know, consistent in sobriety. And they've given me the tools to help further my understanding and my knowledge of sobriety and how it all works.
The role that it played in my recovery is the mental. The program helped me mentally, working out, talking to people. I love to socialize with people. So to me, talking about stuff helped me with the recovery. They also helped me realize things that I can overcome with just a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance, maybe just looking at things from a different point of view, maybe understanding things a little bit different.
We as human beings are an exceptionally complicated species. We are given a lot of power and control over our environment, yet at times it can feel like we have none at all. We are faced with shrouds of doubt and feelings of inadequacy on a daily basis. No one tells you how hard it is to process all these feelings. No one can speak to the whole truth, how trying this process of reaching our own version of success can be. For obvious reasons, there is no one size fits all. When unveiling this master plan for anyone's grand purpose, we must discover this for ourselves. The hardest part of this discovery is the failure that comes with it. A part that anyone will tell you is a certainty that is necessary, for it shapes you into being who you are meant to be. I know personally that this can be intimidating as rocket science, but the key is to not shy away from the unknown. It's to lean into it. Keep to the truth about yourself and carry on wholeheartedly. Rewards are limitless.
I try not to cry when I watch that video. I don't care how many times it's been, but thank you for letting us share that with you. I know that we are 3 minutes. It happens every time. 3 minutes out. It always plays again when you play next. We do have this contact slide. Margot, I don't know if people will have access to these slides, but if they do, our website, our Instagram, our Facebook are all embedded in these logos here. But reach out to us. This is the phone number and the address for our location downtown. I saw that Kathleen asked if we could get information on the center of Tijeras. Yes, I will follow up with Margot and get you all. I don't know the address by heart yet, or the phone number. I do know that we have a phone out there. We have Donato Carrasco is our program director out there. Right now, Johnny is out there pretty much full time. But we are hiring for our Tijeras location, y'all. So if you know somebody who is a peer support worker or certified peer support worker, we're looking for some full-time folks that we can bring onto the team out in Tijeras. And yes, Janae, please reach out to Joanne and Antoinette. Because I am not in Albuquerque, I'm in the Denver metro area. I have been for the last 6 years. They are the two people that you're going to want to get a hold of who schedule a presentation, and they will be there whenever you want them to be. And I would say that pretrial service supervision, let's have a conversation, Maria, and let's talk about how we can come together to support folks who are at that point. And we would love to, you know, walk alongside some of the folks that you're working with so that we can help be just an additional cultural broker in the community to help them get through those services. We have a few folks who are working with us who actually went through pre-trial services, and then, you know, things changed for them, and then they were able to really stay on the road of recovery and sobriety and well-briety. And then now they're working with us. right? And so Antoinette would be the perfect person for you to talk to, Maria. And so let's have a conversation and see how we can partner together. Margot, we hand it back over to you with probably 30 seconds.
Well, dear women, I want to say, I appreciate, and I speak for all of us, I am certain that, sharing your personal experience as well as, the work that you're doing at the center, has been informative and profound. You're changing lives, and I love your the conversation that you were having about how to support peer workers in having a meaningful place in an agency or an organization, and being more than a placeholder. And again, just thank you so much. And as we gather after this today, if we come up with some additional things that we want to share, I will be sure to get it out to all of you participants today. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.